I was lying on the sofa wearing a billowing white dress dotted with huge purple lavender flowers when the call came saying they'd found a specialist unit for me. That morning I'd crawled up to the attic and dug the dress out of our big red dressing-up box. I had a porcelain doll that had almost an identical dress, and I decided I wanted to look like her. It must be easy being a doll, I thought. I'd put the dress over my head, then, exhausted by the effort, returned to the sofa, where I lay and watched Mum vacuuming around me. By this point I was so sick I could barely move. "We've got a place for your daughter at the Maudsley Hospital in South East London," the official-sounding woman on the phone told Mum. "Can you come straight away?" "Oh, yes," Mum replied. "I'd go to hell and back to save my daughter." She didn't know that hell and back was precisely the journey she would be making over the next 9 years. The following few hours were a flurry of activity. Mum rang Dad, who came straight home from work, picking up Natalie from school on his way. We drove to the station, then set off on the tube journey to the Maudsley. The Maudsley Hospital is the biggest mental health hospital in Britain. It treats people with all sorts of horrific mental problems, including kids with emotional and behavioural problems, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, post-traumatic stress, depression, and other serious psychiatric conditions. When we turned up there that day, the 5th of March 1991, I had no idea I was being bracketed with kids so seriously ill. The journey from Northwood Hills tube station to the other side of London was exhausting. When Mum helped me off the train at Elephant and Castle, people were staring at me. I must have looked like a kid dying of cancer. And when I saw the stairs leading up out of the station, I thought I couldn't do it. I just didn't have the energy to get up there. But somehow Mum and Dad helped me, and we clambered up into the daylight and through the dirty doors of a red London bus. After about 10 minutes, the bus lurched to a stop and the doors flew open again. In front of us was the Maudsley. It was certainly a serious-looking building, with 2 grand pillars flanking a flight of stone steps that led up to the main entrance. I felt tiny as I crept up the steps and entered the monstrous great building. Inside, we were greeted by a smiley nurse who showed Mum and Dad into a side room for a meeting with Dr. Stephen Wilkend, the hospital's expert in child psychiatry. Natalie and I were taken into another room by a nurse, let's call her Mary, who gave us crayons and paper to keep us occupied. It felt like Mum and Dad had gone for hours. After Natalie and I had coloured and drawn everything we could think of, we wandered outside and sat on the low bars of a climbing frame in the fading spring sunshine. "I wish Mum and Dad would hurry up so we can just clear out of this place and go home," I said to Natalie. It had never occurred to me that I wouldn't be back in time for neighbours. Then Natalie pushed me on the swings for a bit. I was too weak to push her. But still, Mum and Dad didn't emerge from their meeting. What could they be talking about? Finally, Mary, the nurse, came out to the swings and told me it was time to go in. She led me down a corridor and into a small cubicle. Inside, there was a narrow single bed, a table and a chair. She sat me down at the table and told me to wait a moment. A couple of minutes later, she returned carrying a glass of milk, a couple of cream crackers and some cheese. "Here's a snack," she said, placing it in front of me, then sitting down herself on the edge of the bed. I looked at the plate, barely able to hide my disgust at the big chunk of cheese plonked in the middle. Didn't these people know cheese was about the most bad food around? "Oh no, I don't quite fancy that at the moment, thank you," I said quietly. "Nikki, you have to eat your snack," replied Mary. "I'll talk to you when you have finished it." For more than an hour, we sat in silence. A few times I tried to engage Mary's eyes.